It's a very warm welcome from the BCA Pool League World Championships at the Rio All Suites Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, for this second chance 8-ball first round match between myself, Mike Holt, and Ted Westlake from Anchorage in Alaska. It's a race to 5, and we're lagging for the break. I'm coming up short there, so Ted gets to break rack 1. Going for the second ball break on the left of the pack. And gives them a fairly medium pace hit and nothing down. So I'm looking at the table here, and I quite like the look of the strike balls. The 10 will actually pass into the top left. The 9 goes in the top right if you can get in the right position, so you don't really need to break up that stack. You can get on the 13, which is just above the 12 there on the right hand side. So everything is looking manageable. Just a question of what you want to do for an opener. So I think it's a slow roll forward with this 14 ball to leave me a shot on the 11 into the top right. With the idea of leaving an angle so I can just bounce down the table a little bit and clear that 13 out of the way, and hopefully then find a way to get on the 10 so that I can maybe just stun into those two solids, the 5 and the 6, and leave myself the 9 and clear the 8 ball in the process. So finished a little steep on this, so I need a little bit of right hand English to avoid colliding with the stack. And that little kiss on the 12's actually turned out okay. It means I can't take the 13 now, but I can maybe take the 12 all the way down into this bottom right, follow forward, get the cue ball down where somewhere like a diamond out from that bottom pocket, and then I can take the 15 in the side and stun over towards the 13, hopefully playing in such a way that I can get on the 10 as well, so that you play into an area where you might get on 2 balls. Just got to be careful with these balls past the middle pocket. See, I'm looking at this now, it's a little bit scratchy. And even if I don't scratch in the top left, I don't like the line that's taking me on. I don't want to go into the cluster, even if I were to catch the short rail and come around 2 rails. So it's got to be the 12. As I was saying, don't really like these when it's the wrong side of the side pocket, because it is possible you can just play it directly into the far point. I'm just giving this due care and attention. And pushed all the way down, so I've got a nice angle to get towards my remaining balls from this 15. You can see that's where I'd like to finish. Somewhere around there I'll have a shot on the 10. But if I don't get the pace right, I've always got the 13. So it's a bit of a draw shot, more of a draw than a stun. But I've overhit it and left myself skinny on the 13. I can't see the 10 anymore. So I'm just looking at the cut angle here and seeing if I play off the rail with a tiny trace of inside, I can hopefully collide pretty full with the 6, which will leave me on the 9. Using the 6 as a stopper. And that's finished just about as good as it could have done. Can now play the 9, but it's not straight anyway, so it's got to be played off the rail. So I'm just looking to see when I come out what's the ideal shape on the 10. Somewhere just short of straight, or straight would be ideal. I don't really want to go past straight, because then I'm going to be going into the 4. So with the 2 ball, falls by the left centre. So this is ideal now. I've just finished short of the pocket line, so I can just push forward and shunt those 5, 6 out of the way. I use them as a stoppers, so I don't lose shape. And I've got a nice shot on the 8 to finish the run out and get a 1-0 lead. It's always good to get the first game on the board. So nice to run the table. Got a bit of confidence early on. Got the break here, rack 2, going for the second ball break. Let's see what I can manage. So the 13 flies in the corner. And just looking at the table, a little bit of a mess. You sometimes get this with the side break. A little cluster by the side pocket and by the 8 as well. But thinking that I might take the solids here. Pattern starts out with the 5 in the bottom right and the 7 in the left side, 4 in the bottom left, 3 in the centre. That's when you need a little bit of luck, because you're going to try and break the 2 out, because it wouldn't really be possible to get on the 3 in such a way as to leave the 2 in the top right. No. Just because of the position of that 10 ball. And now obviously the 1's hard to get on as well, but if you can get the 6 out of the way, the 1 goes into the top left. It's just slightly obstructed at the moment. Just seeing what kind of angle I'd like to be on the 3 there. Got the angle on the 3 now, so I'm going to go for it. But kind of hit that quite soft and caught the 2 full, so the strike went down and further obstructed the 1 ball. So I'm just looking at options here. I can drop this 2 in. I can't do anything with the cue ball. You can't put any pace on it at all. So the 4, it's going to be real tough from there. It's going to be a crazy shot. So I'm just thinking now about potentially putting the 2 in and playing a safe. Which would develop the 1 at the same time. With a couple of options, I could just try and roll the 1 on and off the cushion and just control the cue ball down, try and get that hard on the rail, or can do a full ball stop shot and try and glue the cue ball to the stripe there. I think it's the 11. A little disclaimer at this point, I'll mention I have got red, green and brown colour confusion. This ball set that they use, the Predator Arcos balls, I do find it very difficult to distinguish the red from the brown. So the 3 looks very much like the 7 and the 11 looks very much like the 15. And not helped by the fact that it's got a puma's head on one side, so you don't always get to see the number. There we go. Just drop that in. I'm going for the stun shot option or mini draw, but unfortunately the angle I kicked the 1 to the rail at came back and released the cue ball. So not a great shot, given Ted an opportunity. Certainly not easy, but you would expect him to get this just a straight roll into the corner. He rattled it, but not left me a great deal. I can now only see the 4. So I'm thinking about attacking here. I can put it in the corner, bottom right. I need to try and get the cue ball to track back almost on the same line that it's going there. Find the gap between, I'm going to call it the 11. It might be the 15, but the one near the cue ball. Try and get that gap and get shape on the 6. Ambitious. So I just caught it a bit too thick, but I did get the cue ball where I wanted it. 4's come back and further congested the 8 ball, put his 9 safe. So a little bit fortunate there. Also knocked the 6 right over the pocket. So just put the 15 in the side. And just finished a little bit awkward here. But manages it, no problem. However, his shape is overrun for the 10. Pretty fast tables these, the Predator Apex table. Not quite my favourite table. I do prefer the diamond bar box and the diamond 9-footer. But this, it's nice. The kind of flush pockets, they're good. But the bedcloth is super fast and excuse me, they're very reactive. You can get a lot of spin, a lot of draw or follow. And in the first couple of days here, it's always tricky. He's playing the long bank, just because when they're brand new, they're all awfully slippy and skiddy. But after a few days, that what they're wearing. Lucky there is close. So I reckon I'm going to try and break the 1 out right here. I've got the 6. You could just float it in and play for the 4, but that's not. I don't think that's a great idea. Because all your eggs are in the 1 basket, and it's the last chance to break it out. So if I break it out here, there's a chance if I don't get on the 1, I might end up with shape on the 4. But as it happens, 1 sprung out, and I've got to cut back to this bottom right corner. 8's still tied up though, so if I can try and do a nippy type draw, I might just catch the 9. Unfortunately, missed the 9. And it's all gone wrong. I mean, all the balls are moving there, so I did count on a bit of good fortune, especially after my draw shot missed the 9 and caught the 4. So I'm in a slightly tricky situation here. He's got his 4 balls left. I'm on the last one and I'm hooked. So I've just got to play the kicks here. I'm just going to try and kick it in. Let's see what Ted wants to do with this. He's still got a problem with the 9. He could start his run if he wants to. But a lot of people, they would just play the hook. Just leave the cue ball behind the 1-8. Sorry, the 9-8. That's exactly what he's doing. No prizes for heroics in this game. It's just about getting the ball in hand, and then you can got something to work with. I'm just trying to work out the using the diamond system where I can get to if I try that. So, but I don't think that's on. Looking at this side, the diamond system says that if your cue ball is on the line from the middle diamond to the short rail, to the middle of the center pocket, which of course is the middle diamond of the long rail. If you play that with plain ball, it should rebound and hit the middle diamond of the far short rail. So I'm hoping that I can work that to my advantage and just catch the near side of the 4, which I did. Just a little bit too thick, but I've opened the 8 somewhat. It did go back and try hiding against the 9 again, but it's better than it was. Another stop shot will hook me again. And he's just waiting for a good opportunity, Ted, and I don't blame him. He'll probably do exactly the same under the circumstances. This is a kick trying to catch the thin edge. And I'm just doing the parallel system here, so an imaginary ball the same distance away from the rail on the line to the 4 that I want to take, and then I just need to make sure that I'm hitting the midway point between where the cue ball is and the imaginary ball, and it should then continue and strike the object ball where I want it to. When I found my point, I just give it a number, so that would be something like 31 up from the corner. So again, I catch the object ball on the correct side, but not quite right to drive it in. Now, is it time for Ted to begin his run? He's looking at this. Let's start with a little thin cut. Oops, camera's being adjusted a bit here. Oh, back where we needed it. Yeah, it's another hook from Ted. And this is a little bit nasty as well.
You get to the table and your opponent is not there and there's not a score sheet there, thread down. Let them call us to get the score sheet to you.
The standard kicking point is now blocked by the 11. Excuse me again. So I'm looking at the potential of doing a masse. Basically, it's tricky with the 14 being so close to the object ball because the swerve's going to work on the first part of the cue ball's journey. So I need to basically aim somewhere near the side pocket and hope that it then, after it's gone forward about a foot or so, corrects its path and goes up towards the 4. But the trick with these is not to hit them too hard. If you hit it too hard, you've not got time for the spin to take, and I did hit that too hard. So that little nudge and rearrangement of his 14 and 11 might be the impetus he needs to get going. Still a bit tricky with a ball on the end rail and ball just out here. A bit more shenanigans going on with the camera. My apologies. We'll get this right in a second. So it's top and right to come around the angles. That's nicely executed. Just a stop shot now to leave the game for Ted and to equalise 1-1. So yeah, just some little issues with camera positioning. Do apologise for that. I think we'll get it right in just a second. There we go. So Ted favouring the second ball break as well. Quite a soft pace yet again. So nothing down. And quite a sizable stack left by the 8 ball. So looking at these, it's only really the 10 ball that is stuck. Everything else has a pocket. And the 13's real close by, so you've got chances to nudge it with that. But potentially you've got the 14 as well, but you probably won't have the angle to break out with that because of the shape, the position the 9 is in. So it's a very skinny 12 to kick me off, and I am going to be careering into the, I'm going to call it the 11. So I've got a long shot on the 14. Just a stop shot. Try and go forward a couple of inches actually, so I'm not over the top of the 9. Which I am still, but I can still cut this 13 in, but now it's hard to get much action on the cue ball. I've got to kind of let it follow its natural line, so that's probably going into the 4-10. I'm certainly not going to give it a lot of pace though, so I do need to get lucky if I'm hoping to have a shot here. Well, missed the 10 altogether, caught the 4 on the left side, kind of stuck myself to it. Seeing exactly where I can hit. Any chance of a cross bank? No, I don't think so. You may have seen Ted just come to the table and have a quick look. Basically, the rules here are there are referees available for each bank of tables. A bank is, in this room, I think there's 40 tables and there's refs at both ends. So you just put your cue in the air and a ref will show up and you can ask him to supervise a shot. So I just chose to play safe there and develop the 2 safe balls. I don't think I've left anything. Potential bank, I suppose, of the 7, but I think the 1's probably blocking it. He could of course play it in the bottom right, and that's in fact what he calls. I'm just trying to draw above the 10. But I've got a couple of potting options there. I can cut the 14 in. I believe I can also make the 11. I'm just seeing if there's any chance of some billiard or carom action. If I can play the 10 off the 6, does that then drive it into the side pocket? Well, that's what I'm calling. I did check to make sure there's no chance of knocking the 8 in. See that I was really just trying to free the 10 ball and not left an awful lot for Ted. Having said that, I think he can just push the 4 forward onto the rail and glue me up to the 6. I can find myself in a spot of bother. Yes, and the 4 going where it's done made a very narrow window to kick the 10 in. Just doing the same thing to an imaginary ball the same distance away from the rail on the line towards the 10. He's just saying, look, if you're going for that, I'll call a ref. And I said, yeah, absolutely, call the ref. But I'm saying to him as I walk around here, it's going to be pretty obvious if I do foul though. We're going to know it. And I'm not going to hit this super hard, so it's going to be pretty obvious. And we're just having a little chat there. think because the referee was walking down, somebody else put their cue up and the ref stopped at another table. I'm just saying, look, if that one goes to the left, it's clear that I've hit it first. I said, and you don't have to go by your seat. I said, stand right next to me here so you can see. So a little concession there. Normally a player would have to be outside the playing area. And clear as day, I hit the one. So we just had a good agreement there. And then Ted cracks a little joke that he thought it was good. And so now he can get this free ball down, shape for the 7. A little bit flat. Would have liked an angle so he could have got up for maybe the 1 in the same pocket. Plays a nice draw shot so he can now drop the 5 in and then get the 1. And must have really try and find the centre of the table for the 2 ball. I don't think the 4 will pass. Well, that's where he wants to be, right there. Bit tricky with my 9 where it is. That's kind of blocking a natural path. So if you're going to try and find the gap between the 9, 10. No, he's gone below it. He's done well there. Perfect shape. Got a little angle. Not sure it's quite enough to stun round 2 rails for the 6. It's just checking now that it does go. Pretty sure it does. Looks like it does from here. You could also just play slowly off the short rail for the 6 in the side. But he's going to end up having to shape that 4 either in the top right or the bottom left, I think. I mean, he could end up short side for the left centre. A bit tricky. Draw it out. Now he's got the thin cut on the 6. And he'll definitely be playing around 2 rails. So he can get nicely on the 4 for the same pocket. Just got to make sure of this. Slightly tricky. Nicely played. Just coming up a bit short. So he's got a super skinny shot now. Don't think he has to worry about the scratch. The 10 is saving him from that. It's just a question of picking your point on that ball. Committing yourself. You've got the right line. Trying to put a nice stroke on it. Common error here is to get down and start adjusting your angle once you're down, thinking, oh, that doesn't look right. And down that way it leads disaster. And he catches it just a hair too thin. So he gives me a chance now to just run out these 5. No obstacles, just a question of making a decent pot first. And just pop off the long rail for the 9, the bottom left. Depending what angle I finish, I'm either going to trundle forward for the 14 or get over there for the 11. And a centre ball hit this. Stunning type hit. Ooh, baby, that wiped its feet, used all the pocket. Any harder, that would have stayed out. Yeah, although I think there may be a normal size, like 4 1/4 inches. The cut of the angles means that they're quite demanding, these pockets. Now I tried to play 2 rails and a cross. Didn't give it enough welly, so I've finished in the worst spot along the line that I could have done, directly above it.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, on the
And so
USHL bracket,
the only option I
okay,
can see
there are
here is
still
to
matches
try
being played.
and bank
As
it
soon as all the matches are
all the way
done,
up
then
past his four
we'll
ball.
get
And I
started
know
on the
that the four is
bracket.
blocking the pocket,
Excuse
but
me.
if I could find the gap between the rail and the four, there's a chance it might go in, but there's also a good chance I could move the four. But as it happens, I've not cut the ball enough. But all I've done is put a slight obstacle in the path of the cue ball after he's potted the four. So it just makes his shape a little bit more tricky than it might have been with no obstacles there. If he was able to pot it as thick as possible, like cheat the pocket a little bit on the left, he might just be able to miss my ball. But no, he's hit it, and he's hit it pretty full, pretty fat. But he's still left a shot for himself in the bottom left. There's a tester. It's not available in the side, he's just double checking exactly how much of it he can hit. So this 8-ball for a 2-1 lead to Ted. And that's in. What a beautiful shot. But where's the cue ball going? Oh, that's unlucky. Well, I say it's unlucky. I mean, you play the shot and the pockets are always there. But yeah, on another day that could have just hit the bump and stayed out. So a dry break for me, rack 4. I sort of eased off the pace a little bit with that second ball break and paid the price. All the stripes pretty much, well, 5 of them in a big cluster to the left of the 8. So got quite a bit of separation with the balls here. He's going for stripes. Makes the first one. I think he's just left himself a thin cut in the right side here. Yeah, it's the only option. The rest of them are all a little bit jammed up. I think if he can get all the way back up the table off the short rail at the bottom here, he could get on the 10. I think that passes into the top right. If he were to go all the way up, of course, he could get on the 12 through the little gap between the 7 and the rail. I think he has to jump over the 10 a little bit to make the potting angle. So whatever he was trying, that didn't quite work out. Can call in the 3 here. Not such a great attempt. But no huge amount of damage done. And he could play the 10 through the gap now between the 7 and the 2. And I don't think it goes in the pocket. I think he'd just be getting it over there for tactical purposes. Yeah, this does go in the side, the 10 ball. That's a nice shot. Now, what's he got here? I don't think the 10 goes. Could perhaps try to engineer a combo. You know, he's trying to do a earlier trying to get this in off the 9 in the side. Changed his mind, calls the 9 in the top right, so he's going to do a combo long bank. That actually looks a little bit more likely, a bit easier to make. Unfortunately, the 5 is in the way, and that caused further congestion as it's tied up a couple more of our balls.
Okay, folks, so we have a winner for the $2,300 Jacoby Palmer package.
So first
Blue ticket.
visit to the table, always have to
21592.
do a proper survey of what's going on.
Mr. Doug Clausen, you have one right over. Please come to the one-of-a-kind blue supply booth. Doug Clausen, you have one right over. Thank you.
Easy enough for me to get started. I think I can just drop the 1 in, albeit slightly hampered queuing. I think it's a little bit tight past the 12. Yep, that's what I call. And just a fraction too thick. Catch the 12. And I do believe I've left that now. The 1, as it was coming back off the long rail, seemed to just curl ever so slightly downwards. So could just draw back an inch or two and leave himself the 11 in the side. That might veil position on the 9 ball. And he's still got to do 2 breakouts, so do something special. Just having a little bit of a check around what's going on. And he calls safe. Trying to stick to these, and I can put him in a bit of bother here. Yeah, glued to the 5. So obviously my 5's still tied up, the 6 is tied up. And he's kicking at the 9. Catches the 8 and does me a favour, just flicks the 6 out. But the 8's got itself in the mix, and that's now blocking the 2. I don't think that's available. Can't combo the 3 in with it. And if I do a deep draw off the 3 onto the 2, there is a chance I could end up comboing the 8 into the top right, so I don't want to play that shot. Don't want to play any sort of breakout off the 1. No, the shot here is to get rid of the 3 first, I think. And possibly set up with a slight angle, bottom right on the cue ball, and then just try and flick the 2. Get it up, on and off the rail. Sorry, I mean that's the 7, isn't it? And I'm actually looking here at doing something entirely different. I'm going to do a stop shot on this 3, glue him to the 6, break the 5 out with the 3, leave him snookered. I've just got to get glued to the 6. Yeah, that'll do. So now it's just the 2 ball is my problem. that safe was a much better option than playing any form of attack. And Ted calls safe. What's he doing here? Okay, he's just trying to tie the 8 up a little bit more. He may have just slightly moved the 13 there with his cue. I did notice a little bit of movement out the corner of my eye. Rules on that is cue ball fouls only. If you hit one ball, it's fine. Unless that ball moves and goes to a position or comes from a position that is within a ball's width of any moving ball. So basically, you get ball in hand for that, if that happens. Or if you move a ball and it moves another ball, if you move 2 balls, that's also ball in hand. So with that shot, I managed to free the 2, but kind of got the 8 real close to the 1, but I think I'm okay. I can still make the 1 from the right position. Just looking at the 6 in the side now. So I can make the 3 through the gap. Slightly awkward bridging though, I don't like the look of that. You don't want to be elevating if you don't have to. And I'm definitely jacking up a bit here. And just looking through, it's incredibly tight through the gap. And I just think it's too risky. Not when you've got a straightforward ball like this, you can just roll in. Just take your medicine, leave yourself a slightly longer shot on the 3. Straightforward. Just stun. Get it a little bit over. You want to try and get nicely on the 5 so you can play up for the 4 ball. You want to be flat-ish. Used all the pocket yet again. Played at a good speed. So just forward. A little bit of inside. Just so I can play this pocket weight. Get over to the desired shape so I can play the 1 ball. Natural angle. And that looks ideal. Just need to try and consider where the 8's going to go. And that's fine. When I say fine, I've finished a little bit flat on this. And one lesson I learned rather late on in my time in Vegas was that you cannot play these with any form of pace. Well, you can, but you've got to be 100% accurate. If it hits that face of the pocket, that angled jaw, that's going to happen. Rattle, stay out. Pocket spits it. So hand over an opportunity now. Great chance for Ted to tie this match up at 2 each. Moral of the story there, just roll it in and settle for a more difficult 8. I was just trying to get too close to the 8, too perfect shape, and hand it over the table. Much better to be taking a long 8 into the bottom corner than no shot at all. Having said that, Ted's just finished a little bit awkward. He's got a tricky cut here. Off angle and close to it. It's always tough to work out the angle on these. But plays a great shot. Controls the cue ball nicely as well. He's finished perfect. Just below this 14, you can just push it in the side. No problem with shaping for the 8. Just a follow shot. Nicely done. So this 8 puts Ted level, 2 each. Nicely done. So now it's a race to 3. Once again, the second ball break. Makes the ball in the side this time. I think it was the 13. And this is a nice split. Everything appears to go think possibly only the 5 is slightly hindered. But were you to take the 3, sorry, the 7 it is in the top right, then that would free the path. But Ted likes stripes. So going for the 11 here. Nicely on the 9. Pretty sure that 4 is hampering the 12 into this bottom left. That just grazes the 14, so he's now in trouble. Lost the cue ball. What do you do here? Well, were it me at the table, I think I'd be drawing back off the 14. Play the 14 into the 10. Well, he's called it in the left side. I'm not sure about that. I'd want to be trying to get the cue ball glued to the top cushion and putting it above the 7 ball so that there would be no easy shot available. Could actually go towards the first diamond out from the right top corner pocket. But as it happens, he's left the 7 for me pretty straight into this bottom right, so that's a nice opener. I'm just looking at the rest of things. I mean, this combo is pointed at the. It's about half an inch down the cushion from the center pocket. It could be made. Just following forward, it's going to leave me on the 5 or the 2. Or in fact the 1. That's now an option as well. Might take that now because it is a bit awkward to get on that one. And there's nothing else nearby, so makes sense to get rid of it. And easy enough to get pulled back into the center of the table from that shot. Now, just looking at the combo, it is an option to play from here because it does need to be cut. I'm getting down on this. Suddenly I have some doubts. Not helped by the fact that I missed a simple combo in the top right earlier. Easy to overestimate the amount of cut that you're doing, so I'm just going to go for the simple straight shot on the 6. Now I'll take the combo from this position. It's about getting the amount of cut right. And the balls are close together. Should be straightforward. But don't cut it enough. So my comboing is definitely off so far. And handed a nice table over to Ted. Got straightforward, simple 14 to begin. Stun shot. Stop shot for the 10. He wants to actually draw back a couple of inches. He wants to get above the pocket line so it's easy to shape for the 12. But in fact doesn't do that, so he's a bit flat here. Maybe he can cheat the pocket and go forward with a bit of English, bit of left English. who's drawing back, so he can probably just, yeah, he's been able to steal a bit of an angle. Still a little bit skinny, but if he plays at dead weight, he should be fine. Don't want to leave yourself too steep on the 15. So a little bit of outside might help as well, actually, just so. Yeah, you see, he's come too far. He played it slower with a bit of outside. When he hit the rail, there's a chance that he would have collided with the 2, which would have kept him, like, used it as a stopper. Also, just to take that line that's more angled towards the left as we look at the screen would have meant that overhitting it wouldn't have made such a steep angle. He might have ended up near the second diamond up from the left corner. But it's still makeable. He's now playing this with right English to try and get up past the 3 on the left side of the 3 and then back to the middle for the 8. He's actually missed his cut and left me an opener on the 2 ball. So I've really got to take this now and punish him for his mistake. So I want an angle on the 3 to enable me to play for the 4. It's pretty flat. I mean, I could take it now, but I prefer playing 3-4-5 than 4-3-5 because I just like the ease of the position better. And just put that in the right side of the pocket so I could draw a little closer to the 4. And then just a little bit of bottom right, not hitting this hard at all, trying to come back where my hand is with the cue ball. And that's a little bit short, so I prefer playing these with a bit of inside as opposed to swinging it around with outside. So I'm just trying to get above the 8 here when I've gone into it, but that's worked okay. A little bit of fortune. Another day could have double kissed it, maybe left it safe, but today it's left me a simple 8 in this bottom corner for a 3-2 lead. There we go. Popping my nose back in front with the break here, rack 6, and the corner ball just rattles and stays up, so dry break. Chance for Ted. What has he got available? It's a pretty good split. Not sure the 13 passes the 8. If it did, that might be a good opener, but pretty sure he can get through to the 14. You can just cut that in with a nice stroke and miss the 11. You might have the 11 in the same pocket. And then you've got the 10 along the top rail, the 12 to the same top right, top left, cutting the 14. But flicks the 11, knocks it onto the side rail. Finishes a little bit awkward with the 10. It's still cuttable, but the cue ball's going to be flying up towards the 8 ball. And that's maybe no bad thing if you can make sure he cuts the 10 and he can free the 13. But no idea where the cue ball's going to finish. And there is a simple safety here. You can just cut off the top side of the 10, cue ball hits the rail, comes back and nestles into the 10 again. So he put me in a world of pain if he did that. He's jacking up quite high. I want to hit this hard, but he has done. Yeah, I think a little finesse shot there would have had me in a nasty situation, whereas I can see the 7 to make it. 6 won't pass 4, otherwise I think I might take that. I quite like just rolling the 7, because if I can get the cue ball forward, I don't leave an awful lot. Maybe a thin cut on the 15 into the left side. And I'm going to try and make the 7 if I can. I would leave a thin 3 into the right side pocket. Possibility of putting the 1 in off the 15 as well. I think the 2 also will squeeze in the top right after this if it drops. But too much cut, hit the side rail about half a diamond out from the pocket. It's never going to drop. So I think it is the 15 here. And then he could potentially disturb a little bit of something if he wants. Maybe try and break out the 13. But would you believe it? He's sailed through everything. And finished horrible, actually. No pots available. He's completely snookered on the 12. Can only really hit the 13 or maybe the very outside edge of the 10. And he's hampered over the 4 ball. So let's see what Ted's got in store for us here. Yeah, looking at trying to put the 13 in the top left off the 6 ball. Attacking. Let's rearrange the furniture a little bit. The 6 is now slightly awkward. It'll go in the top left, of course, and the right side. So, time to start trying to run these out, I think. I can put this 3 in and just try and roll forward a little so I can get the 4 in the same pocket. That'll open up the path for the 5. And just going to have a little look. The 2 does go in the top right, so if I can play the cue ball out, I just want to get slightly past the pocket line so that I can, and straight is okay as well, I can then play for the 5 or the 6. Actually the 4. Actually the 2 rather. And that's okay. So playing into an area where I'd be on either the 5 or the 6 after this 4 ball. I quite like getting the 6 out of the way because it opens up the 8 into the top right, which I'll be able to play for after finishing off these 3 balls in the bottom half of the table. But I've come a little short on the 6. I don't like that. I don't want to be going into the 8. So I think it's the 5, but I'll be a bit cautious playing the 5 to try and get the right angle on the 6. I don't mind being straight on it. Just giving a little bit of thought to the pattern, make sure that I don't do anything careless. actually just slightly to the left of the pocket line here. So the natural angle is going to take the cue ball forward to the short rail. I'm going to try and find the gap there between the stripes on the top cushion and then a little bit of left English. I quite like playing that shot with left. And I'll play above the one, so I can just drop the combination and leave the one over the corner. So I'm going to get fairly straight in line behind the one, ideally. But just catch the 13, and that's made it a little awkward. Still going to play the combo. No option anyway, because if I play below the one, now the top left is blocked by that 13. So I'm just making sure I get the combo as plumb on as possible. I don't want to catch that 7 on the right because one will go safe. So I've got to hit it full ball, just the perfect pace. And now just try and approach the 8 on the line of the shot if I can. That gives me a bigger margin of error speed wise. And just this 8 for 4-2 lead, get myself one away from the win. And there we go, I'm on the hill. So Ted breaking in this rack, he needs to stay in the match. And it's come up dry. In terms of openers, the 3 ball is obvious. There's only the 13 I could really have a go at if I wanted stripes, but it's too risky. So I think the table layout determines the suits here. It's got to be solids. I'm just looking at everything. Obviously the 6 needs broke out. 5's a bit tricky. The 4 may squeeze through those 2 stripes potentially. The 2 will be available both sides and the top right. And the 7 is a potentially good rakeout ball. You can get slightly below it, you can put it in the side and get into that target directly above easily enough. The 1's a little isolated down there on its own on the bottom cushion. So what do you play for first? I'm just looking to see exactly where I can get to from this 3 ball. It's so close to the pocket, you can always cheat it a little bit. So I picked a play for the 2 in the side. Follow forward. Trying to use the 15 as a stopper. Now I can get forward off the rail into these. That's turned out okay. I've just moved the 5 away, but I've also opened up the 6 a little bit. So it's available in this bottom right. I'm on it now, so there's an argument that says you should probably go for it. It's tricky to get back here. And if I can squeeze the 4 through, I think the 10's just blocking the right side of the pocket, so it's got to go in off the left jaw. So you just got to be right behind it and able to just roll it very slowly. deciding to go for the 4 because it does pass actually. 13. It's tight. It will go. Well, fluffed it, but a bit of safety in mind. I've not left anything dreadfully easy. Okay, he's got the 14 down in the bottom left. But I did knock the, I think it's the 10 ball pretty safe there on the top middle of the top rail. 5 blocking the access to that pocket. So by no means an easy run out for Ted. Nice opener though. He does have a shot here. It's the 11 on the short rail, bottom cushion. Drop this in, we're definitely on the 9. He's also got a shot at the 13 here. He wants to just drop that in. If we get the 15 in the opposite side. Or we can play the 9 and get better shape on the 13 second time around. Yeah, makes sense. He wants to make sure he stays slightly below the pocket line on the 15. Obviously make it easy to get up. The last 2 stripes. I'm not sure if the one next to the 6 will pass in the top left. I think it might do. There seems to be a bit of daylight there. Nice little draw back just an inch. It's one of the best shots. Most useful. Just drawing back an inch and rolling forward an inch. That level of control on these tables makes a big difference. Had to push forward for the 10, I think, on the top rail. It's certainly now off angle to, I think it's the 12 next to the 6 to put that one in. So play this with right and try and avoid the stack if they go. He's gone into him, he's actually missed the 10 as well. So he's given me an opportunity to get out and win the match. Slightly hampered queuing, but it should be no problem just to drop the 5 in and finish on the 6. And I want to make sure I get a nice angle because you've got to try and play short side on the 1 into the bottom right. I don't fancy the combo. I've had a couple of issues playing combos in this match. So I made sure I've got a nice angle that can come. 3 rails here. It's a bit of a stun hit with right English. Try and get the point on that top cushion, about a diamond out, maybe a diamond and a quarter out from the top right corner. Then the long rail on the right. And come across for the long rail on the left, just above the bottom left corner. The line. That's pretty good. Pulled up in time. Actually, if it rolled much further, it wouldn't have been ideal. This is fine. Just roll this in. Bit of follow forward. Slightly overhit it. So now, a bit skinnier and further away than I would have liked. Could have played that with a little bit more left English. But this time I'm just going to let the cue ball go, trusting to luck a little bit. Collide with the 10, that's not ideal, but I do get the gap. And so this 8 ball for the match. Just try and stay as still as possible. Get it rolled in. And there we go, that's it. Well played, Ted. Shake his hand. There is no loser side here, he's eliminated, and I'll move on to round 2, W2. So thanks for watching, folks. We do appreciate it. If you would consider subscribing to the channel, maybe sharing with your Billy the Loving friends. And we'll see you all again here on Moth Light TV real soon.